Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit Neptune conjunct one's natal north node. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Neptune, it can be about dissipation, dissolving, idealism, inspiration, deception, and duplicity. When transit Neptune conjoins one's natal north node, well, this could manifest in some dissolving, dissipation, idealism, inspiration, hope, deception, duplicity. It could be in one's future. It could be self-deception in matters to where one is headed toward. It's important not to be overly idealistic during this transit. To the point of being unrealistic, it's good to have idealism and hope for one's future, but at the same time, keep in mind that it's important to just be realistic as well, and also too this can be a time as well where one might be inspired to really pursue one's destiny and make it happen for them at this time. It could be very inspirational as far as developing the positive attributes that are associated with your North Node placement. If it's, say, if it's an Aquarius, it could be very innovative, altruistic qualities, selfless qualities, qualities that are very, well, I should say, being very unobtrusive, inconspicuous, considerate, as some examples, ingenious. It could be a time too where you're looking at, I mean, the North Node is what we're moving toward. So one may be more inspired at this time to go forward, to not stay in the past. That's why you have the South Node, of course, is the opposite point. That's symbolic of what we're trying to get away from. And this transit can actually be good in terms of having hope for one's future, but in some cases, and a lot of this, of course, is dependent and predicated on aspects that this makes to points in the chart. But some cases, it could be about the dissolving of one's future, or not have, or maybe there may be some weakness or lethargy which might be impacting one pursuing one's future. And because keep in mind, conjunctions are neutral, they're very intensifying, and it's really very integrating. They can be good, they can be bad, but the one thing's for sure is that there's a lot of concentration of energy when you have a conjunction between the energies that are involved in the conjunction. Now, another thing too is that there might be some issues that Neptune-related issues that may have to be confronted and addressed. It could be matters connected with deception and duplicity or fraud. If it's in the eighth house, say it might be some kind of credit card fraud, or even in Scorpio, maybe there's credit card insurance or tax, or there's some kind of tax related issue that was deceptive that needs to be confronted or addressed. The North Node is also connected with our mission, and the thing about it is, you might at this time, you don't want to be overly delusional in terms of what your mission, what your purpose is at this time. And again, it goes back to being perhaps there's a chance of being overly idealistic to the point of unrealism in terms of pursuing one's future at this time. And the North Node is connected with what we're aspiring to be. So if there's, say, if you have this, and if it was in Taurus, it could be something with art or doing something connected. Taurus, like professions such as finance or something like banking, working as a stockbroker, accountant, doing something with architecture or agriculture even. And this is a time, again, where you can have a very strong abundance of inspiration and hope as far as getting to do, to pursue what you are aspiring to be at this time, and try to make those dreams manifest into a reality. Now, another way this can manifest and pan out, this could be some confusion at times over the direction you're moving toward in your life. It can be where it might be a little bit nebulous and unclear at this time. Say if you have this, for example, in Pisces in your 10th house in your natal chart, it could be over a Piscean career. It could be something connected with the metaphysical, which includes astrology, poetry, dancing, photography, chemistry, anesthesiology, boating, working as a fisherman, or doing some with special effects or illusion. And it might be where you might be torn maybe between some Piscean like career ventures, and this is a time where it can be some confusion as far as that goes. And it could also be lethargy or apathy might even affect one's future. It might be a time where you might have a greater propensity to daydream and fantasize regarding your future, what your destiny is, as opposed to actually acting on it. So it's a time, I mean, there's nothing wrong for meditating a little bit. It could be actually an auspicious period for meditating on one and doing meditation and really, maybe contemplating regarding where one wants to go in life if you are confused or unsure. But it's not important. I wouldn't emphasize doing it too long, because the more you wait, of course, then the opportunities can be going by as far as trying to capitalize on certain opportunities for one's future. Now, it can be also at this time there may be some Neptunian related issues that one may have to confront or address. I mean, again, it could be matters connected with deception or duplicity or some kind of fraud. It can be the dissolving of something. Say if you have this, and if this was you, I mean, if you had this transit in Capricorn in your first house in your natal chart, it could be maybe, especially if you're an older person, it could be the dissolving or deterioration of bone in the physical body. Say if this is in Taurus in your 8th house as an example, it can be about having to be very unflappable and composed, which is Taurus, and in a crisis, which is the 8th house, and doing it with a lot of self-sacrificing Neptune energy as well. Now, another thing too, on a positive end, this could also be expressed in having a lot of hope and idealism as far as the development of the positive attributes connected with your North Node placement and what you're aspiring to be. Now, say if this is in Aquarius in your 5th house as an example, well, this may manifest in, it could be working with the team, doing things collectively in a group, which is Aquarius, and having that group get attention as opposed to the individual attention, which would be reflected by the South Node in Leo placement as that example. Now, let's say another example. Let's say if it's in Virgo in the 8th house is another example. It could be maybe being very inspired and having hope and idealism toward the development of really analytical ability, and perhaps either in astrology or psychology as an example, because the 8th house can be connected with psychology, and also astrology because the 8th house is associated with the occult, and that includes astrology. Now, and also too, another thing as well is that this could be a time when you look at Neptune can be connected with isolation. So this might be, well, I should say, I'm sorry, in isolated cases, this could be something of a physical nature, and especially if this falls in the 1st or the 6th house in your natal chart, because the 1st house, of course, is associated with the physical body. The 6th house could be connected with physical debilitations. It is about physical health issues. Now, it could be something with the feet or the toes, the lymphatic or immune system, maybe some chemical assimilation, which may have been inadvertent, or some drug or alcohol related issue that has to be dealt with at this time. Now, another thing too, so look at the North Node. It's about the destiny, the mission, and I would say then it could be things that are very preordained. It could be what you feel might be a preordained meeting. It could be with somebody that might be in a Neptune profession. It could be somebody that's in somebody that's very spiritual field, or a person that's with the metaphysical, which includes astrology. Could be something with chemistry, photography, dancing, poetry. If somebody that works in a prison or helps others, or is in a situation that might be less fortunate, such as the impoverished, the homeless, the hungry, or the oppressed. Hold on a moment, people. Anyway, now it could also be at a time too where this could be about the development of things that are associated with Neptune. It can be matters with forgiveness, being able to surrender, so to speak. I don't mean, surrendering if you're not guilty of something, but being able to give in, basically, and say if you're in a contentious situation with somebody, as an example, the expression of compassion, self-sacrifice, being philanthropic, idealism, and the ability to overlook transgressions of others and defaults of others, and trying to see the whole picture in people, and perhaps even being more spiritual as well, if you are not a person at this time that's overly spiritual. So those are some things to look at as far as this transit goes. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.